Mike Smith, looking good, brother. You look like you're ready for something. What you ready for?
I look like I'm about to commit grand larceny or something. I know. When you said looking good, I'm like, you're being sarcastic, right? Because it's one of them days, man. It's one of them days. You know what I'm saying?
Like you about to, you getting ready for a movie role. You know, they had, hey, look, we're taking extras on. If you're interested, meet us here in about 35 minutes. But
I'm undercover. Or like we like to say, incognito. I'm incognito.
You are definitely incognito today.
All right.
And that is the theme of our show, Brother from Another. We are always incognito.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes.
Mike, you know what? From the time I was 18, I'd say 18 to 26, 27, I always had a resume ready. Those were my resume years. I was always ready, waiting for a phone call from somebody, because we were in that stage. What's the next step? Where are we going next? You're in college, you're looking for an internship. You're in college, you're looking for a job, you get your first job. Well, not you, your first job's at the Boston Globe, but others, you get your first job, you're looking for that next job. And so I was always in resume mode, and I tell you, I was in my 30s when I found out what a CV was. I didn't know what a CV was. People were like, you got your CV? I was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, your resume. And then you get to a stage in your career where you stop updating that. You just say, okay, this is who I am. I'm just going to roll. They're going to have to live with what this is.
Right. And if you don't know, you don't know. Right. I shouldn't have to present no resume to you. You know what it is.
I'm looking at Bill Belichick, Mike. Been in New England for 24 years with the Patriots. 24 years. He ain't been touching the CV. He ain't been updating the resume. So before he got to, even before he was coaching the Patriots, he won his Super Bowls as a D coordinator. He's hanging out with Bill Parcells in New England and New York. If you don't know who Bill Belichick is, well, something's wrong with you. I'm just wondering now. We see that he interviewed with the Falcons. Perhaps the Cowboys are on the table. We don't know. Perhaps
are you asking why he even needs to interview at all?
Or maybe he does. How would you approach it? I know you want to be a general manager, and that's going to happen. You want to be an NFL general manager, and Bill Belichick is available. And let's say you have to talk to him, because I don't think you would talk to him. For your franchise, you, general manager Michael Smith, are not bringing in Bill Belichick. But let's say the owner made you do it.
Right.
How are you approaching that interview? Are you interviewing him? Y'all just chilling? What's the approach? It's just fascinating to me that he's in this position at 71 years old.
I'm glad. I like how you phrase that. I like how you phrase that, because his resume speaks for itself, is what you're saying in so many words. He should just go in there and drop, when Pat Riley recruited the Heatles, to Miami. Here's all my rings. Yeah, Bill Belichick should just go in there and drop all his rings, including the Giants rings. Here's all my rings, and walk out. It shouldn't even be a very long interview with the greatest coach of all time. I hear exactly where you're coming from, but if I'm talking to Bill Belichick, even if I'm Arthur Blank, and the first thing I see when I see Bill Belichick is 28-3, if I'm talking to Bill Belichick, I want to know what happened at the end. Because maybe I've talked to Robert Kraft, maybe I've read some things, maybe I've heard some things. I want to know how it ended and why it ended that way. Because I look at the last handful of years and I see a deterioration in your franchise. I want to know, to what would you attribute that deterioration? Because I want to make sure that I'm hiring a Bill Belichick who is still a step ahead of everybody else the way he once was, as opposed to the Bill Belichick who over the last several years had oftentimes looked like the game had passed him by. And so I'm not assuming that I'm getting the Bill, and this has been my hang up, Michael. If I'm another organization, be it the Falcons or maybe the Cowboys, who we'll get to in a second, I'm not assuming that I'm getting the greatest coach of all time. He has the greatest resume of all time. But is he still the best coach in the NFL right now? His recent body of work would suggest otherwise. That's just the facts. The team he has put on the field and coached, because a lot of times we've only focused on personnel. We've only focused on Bill Belichick, the general manager, and those missteps. This has not been a very well-coached team, at least to the standard of Bill Belichick. It's not, I wouldn't call it a poorly coached team, but there have been
at parts, at times, yes.
Okay.
I think you're
all right.
Yeah,
And look, I was being nice. I'm saying,
nice to a brother.
I'm being respectful. Okay, Patriot Reign. Okay, I was being respectful. All right, then, since you said it, yeah, your words, not mine. There are times when you look at the way this team has been coached, and you're like, that ain't the Bill Belichick I've been watching for the last quarter century. That ain't the Patriots team I've been watching for the last quarter century. So, yes, an interview is required, because while he brings an impeccable resume and reputation to the table, the last several years, minus Tom Brady, and what the Falcons don't have right now is a quarterback. What the Cowboys don't have right now is a championship caliber quarterback. So I need to know not only like your vision for this franchise, because the other part of it is like you've been married to Oni for 17 years. I've been married to Sarah for 18 years.
Almost 17.
Okay.
Because I want to celebrate 17. Don't give it to me yet. I want to celebrate it. 16 and a half.
So you're a good husband. You're an excellent husband to Oni. I'm a good husband to Sarah. God forbid they both get tired of us and we on the open market. I'm probably not going to be a good husband to this other woman who is wishing that I'm available, but I'm not. And who says that if I'm ever, I'm making this up. I'm totally making this up. Yeah.
Sarah's like, where you going with this? She's like, keep going. Keep going.
If only I were single.
Go ahead.
If only I were single. And I know you got some fans out there that read all your bestsellers, that watch Brother from Another, who are like, oh, if only that chocolate brother was single, okay? We would be awful husbands to them, because we have been husbands to these women, and who we are is inextricably linked to these relationships. Likewise, I want to know if I'm Arthur Blank or Jerry Jones. Yeah, we've been friends from afar. We admire each other from afar. I want to know what it would be like to work with me. I want to know what it would be like if we were partners. Just because you had a successful partnership with Robert Kraft doesn't mean that same stuff is going to fly in Atlanta or Dallas or Philadelphia, as the case may be. Speaking of wife and kids, and I'm sure you've had these conversations with Oni all the time.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with Sarah recently. Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft became empty nesters. They were together for the kid, as in Tom Brady. Tom Brady left, and they didn't know who they were together. They didn't know who they were as a couple, because they had only been parents for so long. They had been parents for so long. They had only been, that's for your next column. They had only been parents. They had only been parents for practically the entirety of their relationship. Belichick got there in 2000, drafted Brady in the 6th round of 2001, pick 199, and Brady said it's the best pick you'll ever make. By 2001, they were winning championships. So all they've known together, Kraft and Belichick, is being quote-unquote parents to Tom Brady. Tom Brady moved out, went to college, got his master's in Tampa Bay. They don't know who they are. Me and Sarah had our first kid before our first anniversary. We've been parents for the entirety of our relationship. We have said to each other, we got to know who we are, because they're going to be gone one day. We got to know who we are as a couple, because they're not going to always be here. So who is Bill Belichick apart from not only Tom Brady, but apart from Robert Kraft? And is he the type of coach that I want to be partners with?
Yeah.
That's how that interview goes.
That's some good stuff right there. Now, to keep the relationship thing going, but before I get to the relationship thing, it's like, because I know you still go to the barbershop, take your son to the barbershop, and it's like an old barber's trick. The barbers who don't know you, you sit down in the chair, and they're like, can you believe this dude who was in before you? This joker only tipped me $3. After all, so what they're trying to do, a little trick on you, a little psychological trick, so you will tip $5 or $10. So they always talk about what happened before to get you to do something different. So Bill Belichick, same thing. In that interview, Arthur Blank, Jerry Jones, you want to know what happened? I'll tell you what happened in Foxborough. We were doing fine. We had a separation. We had a separation of church and state. Robert and I agreed that was the best way to do it. And then he started getting a little handsy. He started getting a little froggy with it. And so I had everything going fine. He owned the team. I was over football operations and coaching staff. Then he comes in when Tom Brady had hurt feelings. He started messing around with the Tom Brady negotiations. He started messing around. He made me draft Mac Jones. He brought in a guy I drafted, Jerod Mayo. He made him the heir apparent without consulting with me. And so it was a toxic atmosphere. I'm not that guy. I'm Mr. Naval Academy. I'm all about team. I'm about shipmate, self, in that order. That's who I am. People, like, listen, people call me a genius. People call me an icon. That's not for me to say. I don't talk about myself that way. I'm all about the team.
I'm not into ranking them.
That's what you do. I'm not, listen, I'll let other people get into that. So really, you talk about, and there are some elements of truth. Of everything you just said? Everything I just said, there's some elements of truth.
I know you. I know your work. I don't need to see your CV. I know how you write columns. I know your work. I was making mental notes of every little nugget you was dropping in there. Okay, don't worry, I got it. I picked up what you was putting down.
But that's storytelling though. That is storytelling, and it's not complete. It's not journalistic storytelling. For Bill Belichick. That is.
Gotcha. It's his narrative. It's a narrative.
That's based on a true story. That's based on a true story, but it's not all completely true. I think this is where I'll leave it. I disagree with you.
Yep.
He may not be the best coach in football right now, but he's in your top 5.
He's better than Arthur Smith.
He's still in the top 5.
So he's better than Arthur Smith. He's better than Mike McCarthy. He's better than Nick Sirianni. I just don't know that just add Belichick is the answer. So Nick Sirianni has his exit interview. I'm not going to waste the precious time we have saying I told you so. I don't need to do that.
Oof.
I will say, though, I enjoyed our little 49ers.
What am I going to do with those extra Eagles shirts?
I don't know. I enjoyed our little 49ers Philadelphia fun while it lasted. I'm glad we got them jokes off while we could before the Eagles got up out of here in the first round. Having said that, today is Nick Sirianni's exit interview. Is the emphasis on exit? Talk about how's that interview going to go? Or do you think Nick Sirianni can talk his way into keeping a job the way that not very long ago, I want to say 3 years ago, Doug Peterson could not? Because Doug Peterson walked into, as I understand it, walked into Jeffrey Lurie's office, and Jeffrey Lurie had every intention of keeping him. But Lurie didn't like what he heard, and he fired him and hired Nick Sirianni, who has since been in the playoffs every year, been to a Super Bowl, not won one like Doug Peterson, been to a Super Bowl, and obviously oversaw a collapse down the stretch of this season. Exit interview today, I'm expecting it to be an exit. Because I don't know, and I don't know what Nick Sirianni's going to say, but I don't know that anything he can say can explain what we saw down the stretch. Or what we didn't see down the stretch. We did not see life. We did not see leadership. We did not see focus. We did not see a plan. Do I look like a guy with a plan? Like, the team seemed lost, and they lost. And so I'd be surprised, with a Bill Belichick available, with a Jim Harbaugh available, if
Pete Carroll,
if Jeffrey Lurie said, we just gonna run it back and we're gonna hire 2 new coordinators. Because when you get to the point now where you're overhauling the staff, the head coach is on borrowed time anyway. He's on borrowed time anyway. If it becomes a situation where both your coordinators are a problem, then that suggests, even though Nick Sirianni is a former coordinator himself, that suggests that you are propped up by your coordinators to some extent.
Yeah.
to some extent. And so you got to be one or two things. You either got to be a damn X's and O's play calling genius, or you got to be a leader of men. The leadership looked like it was lacking. And I like Nick Sirianni. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to, it's not gang up on Shelby there. I'm not here to bash Nick Sirianni. He's done a fine job overall for the last 3 years. But if I'm telling you, Michael, that I'm not hiring Bill Belichick on the strength, with an F, on the strength of his 6 Super Bowl rings as a head coach and 8 overall in the NFL, if I'm telling you I'm not hiring Bill Belichick off of that and that reputation, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I'm not keeping Nick Sirianni just based off of the fact that we went to the playoffs the last 3 years and went to the Super Bowl last year. I look like I'm in a Janet Jackson Control video. What have you done for me lately? Or Rhythm Nation, one of them. I think it's Rhythm Nation. What have you done for me lately? That's how that interview was going. If I'm Jeffrey Lurie, I'm sitting across from Nick Sirianni saying, "What have you done for me lately?" No, what have you done for me lately? Well, what have you done for me lately?
What have you done? Yeah. See, Rhythm Nation. That's definitely the Rhythm Nation look, because Control was all black with the headset. She had the headset going on.
Yeah, that's right, with the microphone. Yes,
the play calling. Play calling. Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
Shout out Janet Jackson. Love Janet.
Yeah, always.
Anyway,
always.
Here's a question though. But here's a question for you. With Sirianni, this is a complicated. In a way, it's a complicated case because I've taken you, I've promoted you. A few minutes ago, I made you the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. Now I'm going to make you the owner.
I'm the owner of the Eagles?
You're the owner of the Eagles. And I need you to tell me what kind of owner you are. Because do you respect it when your employees are so accountable and so vulnerable that they come in and they tell you, yeah, it broke down because of me. I am the reason this season failed. Yes, I am the reason, because every button I pushed was wrong, and I see it. And I saw it during the season, but we were in the season. I couldn't correct. I knew I couldn't correct. I knew what the problem was. I changed. So I lost both of my coordinators last year. We go to the Super Bowl last year, as you know, Mr. Lurie. Mr. Smith. No, because you've taken over for Lurie. Mr. Smith, we go to the Super Bowl last year. We lose the Super Bowl, and I lose my coordinators. As a matter of fact, my defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, took the second half off. Before he went to Arizona, he took the second half off.
By the way. By the way.
So I lose Gannon. I lose Steichen. I appoint 2 new coordinators. Sean Desai, I remove him from the job. I bring in Matt Patricia. That was a mistake. We couldn't get that right. I couldn't get Brian Johnson in the offense going. I designed the plays. He is the play caller, and we got it wrong. We lost the confidence of the team. I did a bad job. But all that being said, you've seen the stats. Michael, I know you're an NFL historian. You've seen the stats. What happens when teams lose the Super Bowl that next year? Mm-hmm. Sometimes those teams don't make the playoffs. Sometimes those teams are one and done in the playoffs. We were that team. We fell apart.
Yeah,
we had a brutal schedule. Our first 11 games, we went 10-1. Just want to point that out.
It happens.
And then we got tired, got injuries, and fell apart 11-6. It's my fault, but give me the opportunity, Mr. Smith. Give me the opportunity to fix this. And I will. I will fix it. I know where to go with it. I can still lead these guys. I haven't forgotten the football that you thought I knew last year. This time last year, you sat here and you said it was the best decision you made was to hire me. Now, you can't even make eye contact with me.
Your passion is compelling.
I'm undesirable to you.
Your passion is compelling. And you definitely, based on the fact that we've gone to the playoffs the last 3 years and we're just in the Super Bowl, you definitely deserve an opportunity to fix it.
Thank you.
But in the immortal words of William Money in Unforgiven and Felicia Snoop Pearson in The Wire, deserves got nothing to do with it. Deserves got nothing to do with it. Okay? And I just don't know.
Hey, bro, I got my kids. My kids are private schools, man.
From a culture standpoint,
go on vacation.
I don't know.
Come on, man.
I don't know. I don't know if you're the right guy to fix it. You made the mess. I don't know if you're the right guy to fix it. Hey, look, Bill Belichick just got let go. It happens. Go be great somewhere else. Meanwhile, in Dallas. Dallas.
Cold. Cold heart. What kind of order you gonna be? Cold heart.
I'm not rooting for nobody to get fired, for anybody to get fired. I'm not. You know that, man. You know I don't do that. Okay. But we're having some fun. But this is real life, and we recognize it. This is real life.
I know.
You made the reference to wife and family. No, I do too. You made the reference to wife and kids. Like these are real families, not just for the head coach, but the entire staff that's involved in this. So we're having some fun because we could do that because we're gainfully employed talking about it, but just want to recognize the seriousness of this. In Dallas, though, we talked about it the other day, and look, Jerry Jones did not make an emotional, rash, immediate decision that Cowboys fans everywhere wanted him to do, during the game and after the game and right on the spot on Sunday. But I do think he needs to take a page out of Morgan Freeman's Joe Clark book and stop around with it and do it expeditiously. You want to jump, then jump, Sams. It's like, because Jim Harbaugh is out there interviewing. Everybody's got him penciled into the Chargers job. Bill Belichick, we just talked about, your little fling, your little side, your little, low key. Y'all been DMing each other over the years, Jerry Jones and Bill Belichick. I cannot imagine a world in which Jerry Jones runs it back again with Mike McCarthy. I just can't imagine a world in which. No, I can't. It's the definition of insanity. And it's not that Mike McCarthy is not a good coach. Obviously, he's a good coach. He's won a Super Bowl. They've won 12 games 3 straight years, but don't have a championship game appearance to show for it. That's never happened. And if you're Jerry Jones, to me, there is a fine line between being emotional and being practical in this instance. And I think it's a practical and prudent decision to change things, to shake things up, at least to get everybody's attention, because something about this team and this environment allowed it to walk into AT&T Stadium and get their shit pushed in by the Green Bay Packers. As if just showing up was enough. I don't know, but something has to change.
Is that here?
This to me, wherever it is, this to me,
or is
and
that
I think sometimes I think they have a talented roster. I don't know about the quarterback as much as I thought I knew about the quarterback. The quarterback needs more of a running game than Tony Pollard could give him. That was a mistake. Thinking that Tony Pollard could be, we didn't talk about this enough, thinking that Tony Pollard could be the guy as opposed to a change of pace complimentary guy to Zeke Elliott was a miscalculation. That's just on offense.
Zeke is good. Zeke was good this year.
On defense, he was. On defense, like, Dan Quinn will probably get a job somewhere else, maybe in Seattle, but that defense just did not show up. Again, they were worth Confederate currency when it came time to be counted. For all the stars and all the Pro Bowlers and all the All-Pros that this roster has, they didn't show up. So it is on the players as well. But maybe you need to get the players' attention. Maybe they need a different voice. We've seen this before. We have seen successful coaches get fired. It happens. This to me is when change for change's sake is warranted. A lot of times I'm against that. I'm like, don't just switch it up just to switch it up. You have to do something, because doing this over and over, what's it got? What do you have to show for it? Nothing but disappointment. They have nothing but disappointment. I would rather give me Todd Bowles. Give me a guy that's 9-8 in the regular season, but whose team gets better, plays his best ball when I need it. I don't need 12-5 every year. Thank you for 12-5 every year. It's been fun. It's gotten us talked about in the talk shows. It's gotten nice flowery things written about us. It's gotten guys in the Pro Bowl and on the All-Pro team who Jerry Jones, now have to pay more because they think they're better than they are based on the regular season. So thanks, but no thanks. I don't want more of the same. I like Mike McCarthy. This is Michael Smith talking now. I like Mike McCarthy a lot. I've known him since he was in New Orleans. I've known him since he was a coordinator before he got the Green Bay job. I have a lot of respect for Mike McCarthy. I just do not want more of the same if I'm Jerry Jones.
Mike McCarthy, now, fact check me on this one, okay? Because
Sure.
I get a little confused on it. Did Mike McCarthy bring in Dan Quinn, or is Dan Quinn kind of pushed in there by Jerry Jones? He brought in because I
have to imagine, like everything else, that's a collaborative decision. I got to imagine.
Okay.
Yeah, like everything else.
Why do I bring up Dan Quinn? Why am I bringing up Dan Quinn?
Yeah.
Because we
Why
ain't
is he the head
talking about
coach?
him.
Well, at one point, people thought he was going to be the
Yeah.
head coach in waiting. Like, he was going to replace McCarthy at one point.
I know
That was the speculation.
But I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, Mike, they lost, 48-32, and take away the pick 6. So that's 41. They got out-schemed. They got out-physical. I mean, there were no answers. The Cowboys had no answers for he's not a rookie, but a quarterback making his playoff debut. Making his playoff debut on the road against the number 2 seed. And he looked like that was 7-on-7. That was fine for him. He had no problems with them. Aaron Jones had no problems with them. As a matter of fact, first touchdown.
Yeah.
Hey, credit to Aaron Jones. First touchdown, goes into this hostile environment, goes, oh, wait a minute. There's my twin brother. Throws a great pass to his twin brother. The first touchdown.
Yeah.
That's what kind of day it was. Everybody was comfortable.
This was an
Y'all
organizational. This was an There we go. There we go. Michael.
They're comfortable.
Comfortable. Right.
They're comfortable.
Hey, I saw this the other day. I don't know who needs to hear this. I saw this the other day. God said he made you uncomfortable, otherwise you wouldn't move. Can I get an amen somewhere? Okay. No, okay, but no, seriously.
That's good.
No, comfortable. I'm glad that's where we could close this out, because you have, again, I'm saying two different things here. They can coexist. Hear me out. I think, to your point that you just made and I've made, I think it's more than Mike McCarthy. It's culture, it's environment, it's the market, it's certain players, it may be the quarterback, it was the defense. It's more than coaching, more than Mike McCarthy. Therefore, I don't think just add Belichick is the answer. I don't think you add Belichick and poof, voila, Super Bowl. However, going back to comfortable, if there's anything that man will do, and the same can be said for Jim Harbaugh, they will make them uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
And change will make you uncomfortable. The only people who like change are babies. So all of them need a wake-up call. There needs to be some level of accountability for these organizational failures. And so they need to be made uncomfortable by somebody who will come in here and say there's a new sheriff in town and his name is Reggie Hammond. Like that needs to happen if they're going to squeeze through this window and do what I said I would not talk about them doing the other day. I just don't think it's going to be with staying the course in this instance. We got one more thing I want to hit before we let you go. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll just say quickly then.
Yeah.
If you want improvement and a little discomfort, I would say number 1 on your list is Belichick, and number 2 should be Harbaugh. Because both of those guys, they can't, like Harbaugh will make you uncomfortable all the time. Not just, hey, at practice. He'll just make you uncomfortable just being around him. He's just that kind of dude. So if you want that, I think those guys can bring it. Will it get them? See, what I'm unsure of, because we talk so much about McCarthy and Jerry Jones and Dak. We talk so much about the stars. And a lot of these rosters, it takes a while for us to figure out, ooh, they're not really as talented as we thought they were. I wonder if they're that. I wonder. They got all pros.
I'm sure they got some holes that we overlook. Yeah, for sure.
Lamb is great.
But there's always something. There's always some excuse or reason. And there's always a reason to rationalize running it back. I think it'll, again, not pulling for anybody to get fired, but I just don't think it makes sense to just say, oh, you know what? Because they don't look as close as we thought they were. All right, last one is there were not any there were not any trade demands that I'm aware of. The way Max Crosby said, if y'all don't hire Antonio Pierce, I'm going to have to request a trade. However, the players all spoke up. I know Cam Hayward said something. I know T.J. Watt said something. And now reportedly, Mike Tomlin has told the Steelers players that he will be back in 2024 for an 18th season. No surprise. There was a lot of smoke, but no real fire. There was some noise. And we obviously saw him walk off when asked. No, not even the woman didn't even get the question out. She just brought the fact that he had 1 year on his contract. He was, the way he put his lips, he was like, "That's only Mike Tomlin can." He was like, nah. He's like, nah, like don't even play me like that. All right. But he told the players he's gonna be back. No surprise, it's Pittsburgh. He's got 1 year left on his deal. I think they end up extending him because what's interesting, Michael, is I think you heard a lot of the players say, what I'm pretty sure I said the last time we talked about this, is that for all the Steelers fans talking about how they feel like their team, high standard, has underachieved, I said this and the players have echoed it. Y'all have no idea what this team would be if y'all didn't have Mike Tomlin as the head coach. And I think ultimately it comes down to Mike Tomlin came in there. I remember when I talked to Mike when he first took the job. I talked to Mike T when he first took the job in Pittsburgh. Because I met him when he was a coordinator. No, I met him when he was a secondary coach in Tampa, and then he was coordinator in Minnesota. And at the time, Big Ben, there was a reputation around Ben Roethlisberger, not just off the field. I'm talking about just internally in the building, like how he was regarded among teammates and coaches or whatever. Mike said that he told Ben when he came in, hey, we could either ride this train together to Canton or we could ride this train together out of town, And so he had Ben Roethlisberger, who, for the majority of his tenure in Pittsburgh. They don't have a quarterback. They probably don't have a lot of things, but they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
They got to find.
They don't.
And like he told Chase Young, you're an alien. I don't get up high enough in the draft to get people like you. Talking about the second pick of the draft, okay? Like, they got to find a way to get a quarterback in that building, or else Mike Tomlin is going to keep making chicken salad out of chicken shit. With all due respect. I mean, disrespect the professional football players there. They got good players, but he's turned. I'll say water into wine more specifically. Like he's making the best of the situation that he can from a personnel standpoint. They need better players in a lot of spots in order to be a real contender again, especially in that division. But the problem is not Mike Tomlin. I'm glad he can come back and have a non-losing season for the 18th year in a row. I'm relieved that that's over with, because if they would have let him go, that would have been the most un-Steelers-like thing I could imagine, to let Mike Tomlin out the door.
Mike, you're so right. When I first started thinking about this story, I was thinking just strictly football. Because I was thinking, Mike Tomlin's been around for 17 years, and he has done a lot of incredible things with the Steelers. And it's funny, side note, it's funny, where certain people who say they value meritocracy, and then when somebody gets by on merit, they move the goalposts. So for Mike Tomlin, in a job where the job is winning, the job is to win. That's your job. So he's never had a losing season. So when I have to talk to people, and I've talked to many people who say, I don't think Mike Tomlin is a good coach.
Why? Based on what?
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So tell me more.
Right. Be specific. Be specific.
Tell me more, right? So he has never had a losing season. He's in a division. He's in the same division as John Harbaugh. They both have a Super Bowl title. Tomlin's teams have won more division titles than Harbaugh's teams. He's got a better record than Harbaugh. Okay, so Harbaugh's had losing seasons, and I think they're both good coaches. It's funny how things change. And so with it's not just with Tomlin, it's with anybody who's on the job. You're so good at your job. You're able to cover up so many flaws that you've never complained about. You don't even waste your time complaining about the flaws.
I have complained. I do complain.
But, okay.
I do complain.
But,
all right, I complain.
So
right,
sure.
Everything else I was feeling. Everything else.
Okay, but let's say you complain. But you don't complain about all the flaws. You complain about the ones that let's say there are 20 of them. You complain about 5 of them. There's 15 that you ain't even mentioned. They bring you players that other teams either take off their board or are put in a risky category. I bring you Antonio Brown. I bring you, let's keep it 100, I bring you George Pickens. So some teams say, nah, George Pickens could have been a first rounder. They drafted him in the 2nd round. There's a reason. Antonio Brown could have been a 3rd rounder. They drafted him in the 6th round. There's a reason. You make those guys work. You start a playoff game with Mason Rudolph. A few years ago, you had a non-losing season, and you gave a start or 2 to Duck Hodges. So, come on. Like, he covers up so much. He does so much. And then when your team gets to a place where really your talent says you shouldn't be here. Collectively, you shouldn't be here. And then when you lose that playoff game, well, he hadn't won a playoff game since 2016. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I think, he's excellent, but at some point, and I really thought it was going to be this year. It's a surprise to me that he did come back.
Oh, that he's going to walk away?
Because at some point you're like, you know what?
No, look, he might not sign an extension.
They don't appreciate
if anybody could handle being a lame duck coach, and for all intents and purposes, Belichick did it this year, but if anybody could handle being a quote-unquote lame duck coach with 1 year left on his contract, Mike Tomlin could do that and not blink. In that town, he could walk around 1 year on his contract and not lose any credibility or any authority whatsoever within that organization, within that building, within that community. Why? Because they're all interim. Hey, we got to let you go. You got to hit the road. You going to Jerod Mayo's press conference. What are you expecting to hear from the new Patriots head coach? Scoop, Mr. Reporter, I like you. Going to be a journalist for old time's sake?
Hey, here's the thing. I don't know. That's why I'm excited to go. I don't know what I'm going to hear. Like, Michael, it's so odd that this is happening in New England. This is almost like some
surreal.
Some kind of like solar event, some lunar event or something, because
it's like
we haven't seen this in 25 years. We haven't had this in 25 years in New England.
Yeah.
So I just the scene of it, just the whole spectacle. I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to witness it. Plus, the first black coach in Patriots history. And so there are 2 sports teams in Boston, another story for another day. 2 sports teams in Boston that have been around for a long time have never had a black head coach. The Patriots were one of them, the Patriots off that list, but the Bruins and Red Sox still have never had a black head coach. So this is a moment that I want to witness.
Yeah. All right, man, we'll talk about it later. Be safe.
All right, Mike.
Tell Mayo I said what's up.
I sure will. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.